It's the 10 to 1 podcast with your host, Brad Oman, featuring Ben Konowitz and Nate Loucks. And here's the podcast.
That's a Victorian ghost that you just did. That was
that was
a
best.
very spooky version.
I've been very supportive of you lately in the way in which you do our introductions.
That one,
'Cause you do
I've
it
never
live every
heard
time.
any of your support.
No, in my mind, I've thought
I was
it's not the
mindfully
worst,
supporting you,
but
now
this one wasn't your best
that's
work.
a little rough. You want to try it again?
Did something happen?
Yeah, you
buddy?
okay?
Yeah,
Did you get a good
I'm
night's
dealing
sleep,
with
wasn't
two shitty friends
What?
every single time I have to record a podcast.
Constructive criticism.
Wow.
I come here, I want to talk about a comedy show, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, your voice sounds like a Victorian ghost is getting fucked by a vibrator.
Okay, I didn't say
know-
that last part, and I think you know that.
And you also know for
It's the implication.
years we have talked about how your voice annoys us.
That's also very true. But the implication was that he was in sexual congress with a sex toy.
Yeah.
That's a
As a
weird
Victorian ghost.
Yeah, that's a weird implication. That's
What
all
else?
I'm saying.
I mean, I guess it could be a jackhammer, but jackhammers weren't around during Victorian time. So you tell me what logic you're working with, and I'll try and stick around.
You know what? Fair enough.
Speaking of Jack Black,
Yeah. nice segue, buddy.
welcome to the 10 to 1 podcast.
He's back!
We are a review and recap podcast for new episodes of SNL and also movies and everything that's happened in the Saturday Night Live universe. And we have a new episode, right, Brad?
We do. It's hosted by Jack Black, which is crazy that it's the first time in 20 years that he's hosted Saturday Night Live.
Which is, if you were to tell me before he was announced, hey, how long's it been? I would have guessed maybe 10, 5.
Yeah.
He just feels like something he just would have done. But 2005.
Yeah, it's
that's
crazy.
That's a whole era ago.
And it's tragic because after this episode, you're
he's
going,
just
why
so
is Jack
talented."
Black? Because, here's the thing that I was watching when I was watching Jack Black, especially, and we'll get to it in the monologue specifically, but throughout the whole episode, as we're getting to all of this, I'm like, Jack Black is obviously, he's an actor. He's a I don't know if he's a comedian or not, but he obviously does comedy stuff. But the thing that I would describe Jack Black as, he's an entertainer.
He's a performer and an entertainer first and foremost.
Yep. And so
He's a man for all seasons.
and so he brings
He's a
this
jack of all trades.
showmanship.
Shut up.
Oh, sorry.
He brings the showmanship to the show that is very unique.
A jack of all charades?
No, just stop.
No, he's
you're
it's
not.
not
You're
a quiet
embarrassing all
sketch
of us.
show.
Literally, you're embarrassing all of us right now. Like literally, people are watching on YouTube, I won't do this
If
anymore.
most comedy is in the red, Jack is in the black?
Black Jack.
Okay, well,
I was right there for the taking.
swing and a miss there, Ben.
Now, here's the thing about Jack Black.
I hate both of you.
So I want to talk about this because Saturday Night Network, which they do a lot of great coverage on Saturday Night Live. I want to talk about this because they posted a little diagram talking about the last time Jack Black hosted SNL, which was in 2005, and they were asking whether or not that was one of the greatest episodes of all time. Because here's a rundown of the sketches from that episode. Now, I don't remember all of these, but I definitely remember some of them, and you will too. First of all, Lazy Sunday. Jack Black's not in it. That's where Lazy Sunday happened. Christmas Time for the Jews.
Yeah. I remember
One of
that
my
one.
favorite Christmas sketches.
Spelling Bee.
Wait, when was this?
No, that's Will Forte, 2005.
Okay.
So that's Will Forte spelling thing. P.
A long word.
X,
Q,
U,
Q, Q, Q. And then Tenacious D comes out and sings the Spelling Bee.
Yeah.
So Will Forte, probably one of the most Will Forte
perfect
sketches
Will Forte.
ever.
The debut of The A-Holes
Yep.
with Jason Takes Kristen Wiig. Appalachian ER.
Yeah.
Santa Chaney, which I don't remember.
I do not remember that one.
A Christmas edition of Debbie Downer.
Okay.
A sketch that takes place at a Sbarro. I don't remember this one.
Nope.
I need to refresh myself. Ice Skating Good Nights, which was a fun thing they did at the end of the
cool.
thing. And then King Kong Song-a-log, which I don't know what that is either.
Well, Jack Black was in Peter Jackson's King Kong, right?
Well, no, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's something tied to that, but I don't remember what the bit was. But it's obviously during the monologue.
We would admit, even at a passing glance, you got 4 probably stellar sketches there. The introduction of the assholes, Lazy Sunday is literally an all-timer.
Christmas Time for the
Christmas
Jews,
Time for
classic.
the Jews, and then a Christmas Debbie Downer. I'm sure was very funny at the time.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I remember Stuart Little Mouse Removal Kit too. That was in there.
Apparently not. That might have been his 2003 episode.
I mean, on SNL Archives.
Oh, is
that
it?
is in there. Yep.
Oh, they didn't put it on this diagram.
Stuart Little mouse removal kit with Jason Sudeikis, Chris Parnell as the spokesperson, and Kristen Wiig as a wife was in that as well. And I remember that sketch being very fun.
Okay, fair enough.
So yes, I would agree that's an all-time episode.
That is
Pretty
incredible.
And when you have an all-time episode with a really good host, if they're not coming back anytime soon, in the next year and a half. Now they didn't do the same thing like, Bargatze hit and they're like, let's get him back on, the very next year. They didn't necessarily do that back then, but they also didn't wait 20 years to have somebody back on. Normally there would be a falling out with that person. And Jack Black clearly just didn't have a falling out or anything. He just hasn't hosted in a while.
Yeah, I wonder what the thing was, because it's not as if he ever disappeared or wasn't busy and wasn't in big movies. So, maybe there's
it is honestly, because he's a legit big movie star.
Yeah,
So
if he's not doing a movie, he's probably doing something with Tenacious D. So
and also though, for a long time, if you weren't an A-list leading man, you weren't. They didn't really give the side actor. So he's not going to get it maybe for
Jumanji or something.
Yeah, because he's not The Rock. He's not Kevin Hart. But so yeah, a lot of secondary characters that he was playing back then. I don't know. Maybe that's it.
Yeah, and again, there's this balance between obviously you want to bring the big names in, but SNL has always prided themselves also bringing new young talent, new young people.
There's only so many slots a year, and scheduling and all that stuff goes into it as well. So yeah, we were just very happy to see him back. I think I probably haven't been as excited about an episode in quite a while. Like I was very excited to see him.
And plus now he's got 4 episodes in. Let's get him his 5-timers in the next season.
Do they make as a big guy? Do you think they make like a quadruple XL jacket, 5-timers jacket?
Jack Black's smaller than you think.
He's thought he's a big belly.
He's got
a big belly, but like
no, he's probably only like 5'5".
Yeah, he's like a short dude.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
But still though, he's got a gut.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So, all right, we ready for this? All right, let's get into this. We are going to recap and review each sketch. If you've not watched the 10-1 or listened to the 10-1, give our opinions, talk a little bit about it. But again, we'd love to hear from you. Comment in the comment section of wherever you're listening or watching from, and let us know what you think.
Or send a handwritten letter.
Yeah, snail mail.
Wherever you want.
Snail mail. Just put the 10-1, and it'll get to us.
It will find us somehow.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Trump to tariff cold open. The show kicked off with James Austin Johnson back as Donald Trump, giving a speech about his tariffs and their market impact. The big surprise was another cameo from SNL alum Mike Myers, reprising his Elon Musk.
Is that a big surprise?
Previous episodes. I mean, he's not always in it. So again, you get him back doing his Elon Musk.
Cat in the Hat.
Do you like his Elon Musk? I think it's okay.
It's Cat in the Hat. We talked about this.
I know, but I feel like he's just kind of. Yeah, I don't know. He's replaying some of the like he's trying to recap a magic that happened in the first episode that he's not doing now.
I think that he's good at doing the voice, and I like how he's lampooning him only because I think that there's only so much you can do to make Elon Musk seem more ridiculous than he really is because he's such a piece of shit, douchebag, dumb fuck. But so like I think I like it in that way, but I do think that there is maybe a bit of an outdated way that he approaches the impression that feels very 90s Mike Myers.
That's exactly what it's the robot thing that he does where it's like
and also
the reboot
and the constantly saying legalized comedy. Like that's something that he did a long time ago that he has said, but like it's not like it's like a current thing that he keeps saying,
And there was, like you said, in the 90s, Mike Myers, all this kind of in this era, repeating the joke constantly until you get the laugh.
Dana Carvey, right, very famously has those go-tos with Biden, right? Yep. I think Mike Myers pulls it off better. I think Dana Carvey and this is me as an amateur fucking hack compared to two legends, but I prefer
We're right here. Thank you.
I prefer Mike Myers' take on it,
legends.
Where I don't feel like he puts him in there all the time, whereas Dana Carvey does kind of rely on those a little bit more in the consistency of those one-liners is pretty standard, right?
I think I like Dana Carvey's Joe Biden better than Mike Myers' Elon Musk. I do.
I don't know. I think we've had more time with him. I think that there's maybe more variety for Joe Biden like to play with.
Because he's got those little idiosyncrasies that James Austin Johnson does with Trump, right?
Yeah.
He did capture some of those.
I think lampooning Elon Musk is more enjoyable because he's such a fuckface.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had like 2 conservative listeners, and now they're not even listening anymore. What do you have to say about that, Brian?
Drive your Cybertruck into a wall.
They probably don't even drive Cybertrucks.
So let's get to the actual content of this sketch. What did you guys think of it?
I thought it was solid. You can't go wrong with James Austin Johnson as Donald Trump. Usually it's the it's the framework of the sketch and what they're covering that is the thing. I think it's a bit of a cop out that the framework for this one is it's an encore presentation of the speech they already gave, so they have an excuse to lampoon it because. But I think that there was enough funny stuff here, and Johnson is just good enough at it. I did love the Morgan Wallen reference when he was talking about McDonald's Island, saying "Get me to God's country," which was just hilarious and perfect. And I think the one thing that I liked about this was that they didn't do any of the typical formulas they do, where he starts like going through like the list of nonsense things or anything like that. Like it was just a straight up speech of him saying ridiculous shit amplified from the actual speech. I liked the touch of doing the big cardboard diagram.
I like that a lot, and also I'm sure that person's a real person, Dismeek's character.
Yeah,
and he like, do you want to stay here? Let's get up here for this. I'm good.
Yeah,
like everybody knows how toxic it is to be around that.
Yeah, Howard Lutnick is a real person, but except in the real life, Howard Lutnick would definitely, if there's a camera there, he's there.
Oh yeah, he's right under the podium sucking his dick.
Ugh. Yeah, he's right there. But I did like how actually Dismukes was one of my favorite.
I'm sorry. Do you want me
to
to be nice to the people that are fucking everything up?
No, just like this. This is not Go Fix Yourself. Our other
we
podcast,
try to be
a little bit more raw and blue.
There are gentlemen
we try on this one to not be
as
crass. On
You're
this
right.
podcast.
I'm sorry. He would be under the podium performing fellatio on the penis.
Okay,
we got a spicy Brad. Everyone, we got a spicy Brad.
Okay, sorry.
Sorry, I stand up for America. Sorry, I stand against Nazis and fascism.
The opinions of Bradford Oman do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Ben Konowitz, Nate Loucks, or the 10to1pod.com.
Well, speak for yourself. Nate knows.
All right. Moving on. Monologue by Jack Black. Jack Black hit the stage for his fourth hosting gig, emphasizing how long it's been and calling it a life highlight. He then launched into a classic Jack Black high-energy song about returning, joined briefly by Keenan. What do you call Heidi? Was it
Helen? Was it Helen?
Yeah, and then Marcuzio or something like that. Marcelo Hernandez. And we saw cameos by Bill Burr and Kieran Culkin.
Yeah, that was crazy to see them in the audience. I mean, and Bill Burr is looking at it like, really? You're going to do it right up here? Like, it's just classic.
So on top of that, did you also notice there were like 3 grumpy kids in the upper balcony where when the camera's on there, they're like, oh, I don't want to be like, what's going on?
My dad's a producer.
Like, I don't know if they were annoyed by Jack Black or if they didn't want to be seen on camera for whatever reason. But
I'll take those seats, boys.
Yeah, it's like, hey, don't give seats to those people. Like, we'll take the tickets. I mean, come on. You don't want grumpy frump teens on the fucking stage?
Grumpy Frump Teens is my favorite band. You can actively hit my toes with hammers while I'm watching SNL, and I will have a better face than those guys.
Yeah.
Like,
do you know
it's a magical
place,
man.
One of them was like actively shaking his head, like, so it's like, fuck you.
Do you know why Bill Burr was there?
He just likes comedy.
He is actually doing a play in New York City.
Oh, it's Glengarry Glen Ross.
Yeah,
right?
and so he's been talking on his. I listen to his podcast, and he's been talking a lot about it. And so it was really interesting. He genuinely probably didn't have anything to do and went to SNL just to watch it.
That's great.
And so I'm that's what I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
Is I'm sure he'll talk about it on Monday. He's got the Monday Morning Podcast.
Kieran lives in New York. So.
And so I'm going to guess. He didn't have a show to do, and he decided I'm going to go to SNL and watch because he's a big fan of SNL. And
he's hosted, obviously.
Yeah, and so they're going to bring him in, and that was just fun to see him because I expected him to bring him in, but it was just like no, there's Bill Burr.
There's a guy in the audience that happens to be Bill Burr.
And I don't know this for sure, but at the very least, it's super rare. I don't think that they have often taken the host up into the bleachers when they've done monologue stuff like that before.
That's fair. I don't remember the last time that would have happened.
I agree.
Yeah, no, I mean, you knew it was going to be probably high energy, and that's a very high energy way to kick off the show. And it shows you, even if you don't know Jack Black outside of the Minecraft movie or outside of Jumanji or some of his bigger stuff, his musicality is at the forefront of his comedy.
He is incredible. An entertainer. Right.
And if you love School of Rock, he can rock an AC/DC song like crazy.
Yeah. And for a big dude too, I mean, that performance would have killed me.
No, you've been done for the rest of the night.
I would have been.
That's one of the things that I am always impressed by with Jack Black.
He's 55.
Is how agile he is, how strongly he can sing, and how physical he is without like getting out of breath or like feeling like he's struggling.
Yeah,
he's still got it.
Give me that.
Yeah. How do I get some of that, Jack Black?
No, I watched this and it was good, right? I think his performance was even better than the content, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because watching the performance itself
you watch
was just
that
like
from
geez.
another, even somebody who can sing. They're not gonna. I'm sorry, nobody's bringing that level of energy. Just nobody. He's one of the rare ones that brings absolutely everything.
The best joke, I think, again for me in the whole thing was the naming of Heidi and Marcelo. That got me to laugh the most because again, Keenan had been there since the last time because Keenan's been there for 68 years, and so these two new cast members. Though it's kind of funny to think Heidi is new because Heidi, I feel like, has been on the show forever.
But new to Jack.
New to Jack
You've
for
seen
sure.
those Instagram videos of like the overweight dude that is on rollerblades?
Yes, I've seen your rollerblade on Instagram.
All right, point never. Hey, everyone, go follow Ben on Instagram.
He's looking
Blades.
for so many likes and watches on his
It's Ben-
rollerblade reels.
Instagram / Ben Blades.
It's Ben in Linowitz.
Ben and Linowitz, nice. No, there's a chubby dude. He puts his hands in his pockets. He's shirtless and he rollerblades and he does tricks and like jumps and shit and like flips and stuff.
Yeah, I've
Oh,
seen
wow.
this.
And,
yeah.
he does it all with a super casual demeanor. He's not pumped at all. And it just says, ladies, this is what peak male performance is like. And that reminds me of Jack
Nice.
Black. Like, yeah, that's peak male performance right there. Take it or leave it, ladies.
True.
All right, moving on. Indiana Jones. This was a dating game show sketch called Love Match, hosted by Todd Bruff. Chloe Feynman played a contestant blindly choosing between three guys: Jack Black, James Austin Johnson, and Marcelo Hernandez, with some pretty comedic results here. Bowen Yang was also in this. Let's first start off talking about the game show itself. So game shows are part of SNL universe. They use game shows often. I want to get your opinion first, Brad, because I think you have stronger opinions on who is a good game show host on SNL, who is not. What did you think of Andrew Smooks as the game show host?
Solid, especially considering what the host had to do in this game. And I always think that's key in figuring out who's going to be better in that role. And so having Dismukes be the guy who is like getting annoyed as somebody who won't acknowledge that they know what Indiana Jones is and that they're dressed like Indiana Jones. His increasing frustration was hilarious. It's like,
great escalation.
Really good escalation.
This
Especially
is actually,
when he is Indiana Jones' real name and he answers it. That's when it really takes off.
Yeah.
Yep.
He's like, well, I was just assuming. Come on, man.
This is actually a sketch I will argue is better on the second watch when you watch it again and I really enjoyed the second watch of this because I was able to see where they were going a little bit more and I understand the construct because a game show for SNL could take so many different formats, right? And so I appreciated so much of what Jack Black and Andrew Smooks were doing in this. I like this one better than I thought I would. If you said there's a game show sketch, I typically don't love them anymore.
Quick shout out to a couple things that can derail a sketch, but here were perfect. The sound effect with the whip was perfect both times he did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't even off by a millisecond, which actually made it sound real.
Yeah.
And so that can really throw off a sketch, and that really dialed it in for me. I was like, oh, shit. I thought that maybe he actually did it. Like, that's how good it was. So props to the cuts, and we'll talk about another scene later where there was a lot of complicated cuts, and they didn't really screw it up either. Like, that one was a little harder. We'll get into that, but
it is so important.
Very important for the behind the scenes stuff. Is like you got to get those cues correct if you want the sketch to really hit, and that's one thing that went really well.
That is the extra layer, right? So we live kind of in the shadow of Chicago. We have a lot of sketch comedy around us in Chicago to go see. And when you go there, right, it is literally just a stage and people performing. SNL adds that level, but you also have the camera, right? Which is a whole nother character that you have to play for.
And several cameras.
Yeah,
typically.
exactly. And so
No, it's just the one. They run.
Sometimes the sketches are good sketches, and if the technical work isn't as perfect as the performances are, it can make a bad sketch.
Which has to be just the most frustrating thing for a writer to be like, I wrote a good sketch, right? Everybody know, and either the flubbing of the lines or the mic didn't work or the cuts were bad. And I'm sure that they all obviously understand, hey, I've written some bad jokes too. We've all flubbed up, but that's a really cool thing to see when it all kind of comes together. I really enjoyed this. I actually was enjoying it so much that when Bowen Yang turned around as Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow,
I was hoping we got to haul it around.
I was hoping for a second and third one, and they were all characters maybe or something.
Yeah.
I really wanted it to keep going.
Yep.
First time in a long time I saw sketches like, oh, they ended up too quickly.
Yep.
I also liked that they they did make some extra jokes that involved the other two bachelors that weren't
was
Indiana Jones.
great.
The first one was great because James Austin Johnson, when it was like, hey, I haven't answered any questions. Can we do something about that?
That was great.
And then having him be like, oh, you want me to say what you guys look like? All right, you look like you're 10 years old. And you look like Jane Lynch.
And he's like, yeah, accurate. Accurate. Yeah, no, those were great. Again, you don't have to pipe in another joke there. You can just use it as filler. But when they do and they both land, it's great.
I think what I also really loved about this sketch was how quickly it jumped into the confrontation and calling out what was happening, because I was expecting it to slow roll and have them be like things leading up to like that he's dressed in Indiana Jones, but the fact that just makes you like, I just want to let you know, I feel like I have to say this. I'm not supposed to. This guy's dressed like Indiana Jones.
And we talk about universe building in comedy all the time. You build a universe, which is a game show. The host would never normally do that, but it was so believable in the way that he does it because he said, I would never normally do this, right? It's little things like that in the writing though that make it pop, because if you build an expectation for the audience that this is a game show and if we're taking the comedy seriously right now, a host would never do that. So giving the actual line, "Oh, I would never do this," is important. So it's just very clever writing. I was very this was a great sketch.
I agree. All right, Flamin' Hot commercial, a pre-taped commercial parody advertising a fictional medication for the aftermath of eating Flaming Hot Cheetos. Jack Black starred with Andrew Mukes voicing Chester Cheetah.
And you just recently did your own version of Hot Ones.
It's so funny because I was thinking of Ben Zanis during this whole thing.
Well, that's pretty standard though for you. One of the things that my buddy Mike Flores and I did, we did the season 25 of Hot Ones, where if you don't know what that is, you can YouTube it. It's a very popular show where the guest gets asked questions by the host while they eat increasingly hotter wings. The thing that they don't tell you is by the time you reach, I don't know, 100 million of the Scoville units, your tongue is about to fall out of your mouth, and you're questioning if there's a God. And then the next morning, you wake up and you've got some significant. The term is fire hole.
Did you have fire hole?
I had fire hole, my man. It was raw.
Did it give you anal bifida?
It hurt so bad the next morning on the way out. It was so uncomfortable.
So would you have put some Flaming Hot?
I think that would have been preferable to what was coming out. It was it was like I dipped my asshole in lava. And I know that I got on you for the language earlier, and I'm sorry, listener, but that's honestly how it felt. It felt like somebody had just taken sandpaper to my butthole. It was that hard. It hurt.
Ugh.
It hurt
it's
so
one of those
bad.
where it hurts to like wipe even.
Oh yeah, I didn't want to. I took a shower. I took a shower and cried.
Why do I do
this? It was funny.
Hey, that's the thing is you only have you to blame.
Exactly. And it was great because I got to ask my questions and we were playful, and we recorded it, and Charlie Young, our good friend, recorded it with like thousands of dollars worth of recording equipment. He's cutting an edit together. We're going to release it. We called it Not Ones. It's a fun thing,
but you
right?
didn't even do this for charity, right?
No. This was just something that Mike had interviewed me, 4 years ago, doing this as a surprise for my for a present. So I got him the Hot Ones gift set for Christmas. I said, we're going to do it again, and this time I'm going to interview you. One of my favorite parts about this is you should, and again, if you've ever seen the show, do it with your friends. Honestly, it's so fun. And I interviewed his dad and his childhood friends, and like came up with questions based on the deep dives that Sean Evans does. It was just great. But all that to say, going back to the sketch, my favorite part about the sketch was so simple. It was when they showed the animation of the cooling thing, and in my head I thought they're going to show a version of the hot thing that makes it somehow better, but it exploded. And I was like, they just leaned into the fact this is going to be bad.
I also love how Chester the Cheetah slowly gets uncomfortable with what's happening.
Whoa, man! I don't think you should be doing this, bro.
2 sketches in a row that Andrew Mukes was fantastic.
Oh, absolutely.
And he just played a voice role, but again, as we know, that is a skill that you actually need to develop.
And hats off to Jack Black going all out. I mean, his pants are literally down. He like, who wants to look like that on camera? I mean, he's sweating and horrible
Jack
looking.
Black, I would imagine, wanted to look like that.
He was absolutely all in for it.
I'd look like that on camera.
I've looked like that on camera.
By default.
I was on camera about a week ago looking like that.
With your hand in your ass.
Yeah, it is hard sometimes to do a commercial parody that hits. We've seen a couple that have been really good, but then some, I feel like oftentimes they're fine. They're fine. This one was pretty good.
I rewatched it again today because I was laughing too much when I watched it live that I couldn't hear the second joke sometimes. That's always a good response.
Yeah, I think we're going to all agree at the end of this that this was a good episode.
Yeah, it's a pretty darn good episode.
All right, moving on. One-uppers. A group of friends are catching up over lunch, but the conversation devolves into competitive one-upmanship. Heidi Gardner plays the waitress in this one, and it's just a bunch of people around a table. Brad, what did you think of one-upping?
I like it as a premise. I don't think the execution was particularly great.
Felt like this one was one of the ones that was one of the weakers.
Yeah, I think, and one of the things that was kind of
disagree.
One of the things that was kind of distracting was that it seemed like Jack Black was constantly missing which camera he was supposed to be looking at.
I felt that.
And granted, he quickly recovered, and it did make it almost a little funnier because of how quickly he whipped his head around.
I felt that there was some timing issues. On this one.
Here's my defense of this sketch. I can't imagine how hard it is to deliver your line, and you can't even look at the cue card anymore because you've got to scramble, and everybody's looking at different cameras all the time. And this is one of those things, after watching the documentary especially, how quickly he had to probably learn all this. I give him all the grace in the world. And plus, when he did screw it up, if you look, I watched the sketch 3 times. If you look at every other actor, they're dying. They are dying to try to keep it together. In the background, Bowen Yang is about to lose his shit because Jack Black can't find the camera and gets there. This is one of those things where an error made it infinitely better to me. And the weirdness of having the actual eagle come in, it all worked for me. Like, I really like this.
The eagle thing didn't work for me. I don't know why. It just, the sound effect didn't work for me. I would almost rather the Debbie Downer kind of sound effect or something like that. But the eagle, and then they bring Heidi out with the eagle. I don't know. That part didn't work for me as much.
I think the reason that I was also kind of lukewarm on it is it's just a different version of Debbie Downer. Just with everybody doing it, and so like it's
not though.
It is. It's someone is saying something and they're immediately looking at the camera and they're zooming in and making a sound effect.
But and that's fine. Like, but you can say that. I'd say I completely disagree there because the whole purpose of Debbie Downer is everybody else reacting to a negative thing, right? And I get that the actual physicality of here is the same, but this time around, this is the thing I really liked about this is that even though they are competitively doing it, it never felt like it was just them being fake supportive the whole time, and it could have been easily written as well. I.
What's the Kristen Wiig character that one ups? I forget.
What is it?
You remember what I'm talking about, though, right?
Penelope.
Like, and I did this, and I did that.
I live on a spaghetti noodle.
Exactly, and those are audacious, crazy things. Where this was just, I got it at a Goodwill. That I volunteer at, that like these are real things. And so they kept it based in reality. The camera cuts were, and that's again, that was so technically hard to do. It was not the camera's fault. It was the actor's fault. I like this a lot. You guys are wrong.
I think the one thing that I did like about it, at least
I've never been wrong.
That I admired was when they would dramatically change the camera angle to like a high angle shot looking down upon them or something, and then they started changing the sound effects, especially when they did the
Bowen Yang point. That was great.
That's
great. So funny.
Great.
And the Bowen Yang pointing up at it. Yeah, like that's awesome. Like silly.
There were some good bones here. I just think I wish it would have been a little more polished. And
maybe wrong. Too, after having such good. There was a couple really good ones in a row in this one, so this did feel like a dip a little bit, but it was not bad. It was not a bad sketch at all.
No, it's not. It's
but
a
it
good
felt
sketch.
a little bit like a dip because of the other ones being so, I think, good.
Yeah.
And then I feel like we went back high again on this one, the first play.
I mean, we stayed high.
Set in ancient Greece, the sketch featured a group attending the world's first theatrical play with all the awkwardness and confusion that might entail. This also featured Emil Wachim, Jane Wickline, Bowen Yang, James Austin Johnson, and Michael Longfellow. I liked Jane Wickline in this, I should say, because I've been critical of her. She made some funny things in this, just being the
Shut up, Ben.
I'm gonna nitpick. I'm gonna Brad nitpick in a little bit.
Wait. But Jack Black was hilarious in this.
He stole the sketch.
He was so... And the premise of this, I love this idea because I've never thought about... At one point, there had to be a first play.
And you had to explain how it worked.
And like, no, there's no chicken, sir.
Did you find your chickens? I'll go get the king.
Yes. I'll go get him, Andrew Smiggs.
He just walks off.
Just right off the bat, too, when he comes out on stage. Hello!
Yeah. It is me.
It is a very funny sketch and performed perfectly. Like
that's where
okay, all right, come on.
All right, you do this all the time. I can do it once.
All right. Well, I mean,
we'll see how good the point is.
Let's see. So, bring it to the table.
So
and we'll judge.
Here's my nitpick.
Your Brad pick.
here's my Brad pick. In the sketch, I'm sure you all saw it.
I loved it.
Who kept telling Jack Black and the others, shh, be quiet.
The usher, Jane Wickline.
Right. And so Jane Wickline knows what a play is.
Yeah, because she like today I went to a performance of a play that my son is in that opens next week, but they did a parent showing, so I got to see it before everyone else did.
So Jane Wickline's character understands what the play is and is course correcting the audience and be like, no, you don't get it. It's fake and it's a performance. But then when they point and say the war is coming and the Trojans or whatever are coming at us, Jane Wickline also turns around and looks with the rest of the audience. But she's in on it. She would be the only one not looking because she knows it's fake.
But so is Jane Wickline trying to explain the concept, or is she just trying to get them to be quiet?
So the idea would be, if you're telling them to be quiet, why are you doing that? Because she understands it's a performance and we're putting on a play together, and to be quiet, you're not supposed to talk to them. So that meaning she understands what the play is.
But maybe only to a certain extent.
Yeah, maybe only kind of in a primitive way. Like, I understand you're not supposed to talk to the people on the stage.
The actors and the people working there would all be on one side of it, and she turned around.
So
and
now
looked
you're a
at
theater
everybody.
director?
Yes, and I think that's wrong.
To be fair, though, only Jack Black and a couple of the other ones were talking to the people on stage.
Well, yeah, because in the sketch you can't have all the extras actually talking.
I'm just saying, though, it didn't seem like they were trying to
but
say...
Ben, according to your logic, though, if not everyone knows who the play is, maybe everyone should be talking in the sketch.
They
not
should.
The three characters.
They should be, but maybe Jack Black was, hey, good for him. He's the mouthpiece of our organization.
Well, why don't you nitpick about that?
I feel like that was a very pedantic nitpick, and it did not work for me. What about you, Brem?
I agree.
Thank you, because it's a Brad nitpick.
It is a Brad pick.
Yeah.
But so you did not like the sketch?
I liked it a lot.
It was very funny.
I thought it was very, very funny. I would rewatch this sketch. It was very funny.
There's more room here too.
Yeah.
I think they can bring this back.
They say the first play on the road.
Yep.
The next one or whatever.
Yep.
We've learned some things from last time, so then we're gonna make sure that we actually have real chickens or whatever. There's a lot they could do with this.
There's so much they can do.
I love that.
I loved it.
And they've done. I think in the previous stuff, haven't they done like the first phone call and the first first things like that. I think
so.
Yeah.
And that's always, it's good comedy.
All right, Brad, were you ever a goth kid?
Oh, God, no.
Ben? No.
Did you ever have Janko jeans?
I did, but I thought I was more like a punk skater guy, which I never skated. I just thought they were cool, and I wore them.
He saved his skating for his later years.
Yeah. Pete Mail Performance, baby. Check me out on Instagram.
All right. Goth Kid on Vacation.
Gosh darn.
Kenan Thompson and Ego Woldham starred as a reggae duo performing a song about a goth kid awkwardly on vacation with his family. Jack Black also appears doing a song by, what was
My Chemical Romance.
Yeah, My Chemical Romance. Very funny. This is a musical sketch, one of a couple in this episode. What did you guys think of this song? Did it work for you? Did the concept work for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Did the song itself work for you?
100%. I think that it was a really funny way to approach it. Michael Longfellow is the perfect person to play the goth kid on vacation.
Yeah, I wonder if he had a hand in writing this too, because he felt very, very fitting in this.
This is something that is pretty prominent online too. Of you'll constantly see awkward family photos of where the goth kid is in the full goth phase. By the way, I love those. Sears family portrait. So yeah, doing a musical like this where they're on vacation, the contrasting imagery, all the funny things that would happen to someone when you're dressed like that. And then actually
I've got a couple of friends that have kids. They're not, because goth's not a thing anymore, but they're artsy and they don't let themselves enjoy life. Yeah. And so
when they're at the table and he's like, what do you want to do? Go home.
Yep.
And that's so perfect for that kid.
Yeah.
Right? Has no wherewithal that this is an amazing opportunity to be on vacation and whatever. And it probably costs his parents a shit ton of money. I don't know, go home. Oh, Jesus. You know what? Cry me a river, Devin, or whatever your name is.
But yeah, the My Chemical Romance song was
so
really sealed the deal for it too, I think.
Yeah. Then that's something where any other host can't come in with that energy and do that, but Jack Black fucking nailed it.
Yeah,
he's a performer. All right, moving on.
I believe he said entertainer.
Yeah, he is. Well, he's a performer too.
Okay.
Weekend update with Colin Jost and Michael Che. Jost and Che covered the week's news, including Trump's tariffs and a grim story about a toddler eating ashes. I'm gonna, while Brad does his scoring for the Bradometer, I'm gonna give Ben about 28 seconds for you to explain to our listeners, our first time listeners, what the Bradometer is.
The Bradometer has been recently recalibrated, and then recalibrated. And it's a score like a Rotten Tomatoes score, 0 to 100% of how much Colin Jost and Michael Che interact with one another. Little side jokes, little nods to one another, actually talking to one another, making each other laugh, and or there is a factor in there. Was Weekend Update overall a good version of Weekend Update? Doesn't necessarily include the bit players, but it can.
Yeah. So let's you and I talk a little bit, Ben. I thought this was a very good Weekend Update.
So even though the Bradometer has been recalibrated, this has got to be an all-timer.
That's what I'm saying. It's got to be high, right?
The ego stuff, just in and of itself, watching them look at each other in the background,
because that has to count.
That's huge. But then also the Weekend Update overall was great.
Yeah, because Che did some jokes that were certainly his type of ugh,
and then also didn't know it's the 90s. He didn't, he avoided that. Good. And then but then the actual back and forth that they had with each other,
I felt like there was a lot of chemistry. I felt that they were
dialed in with each other.
They were dialed in.
Yeah.
So the hard thing is it has been recalibrated.
Exactly.
So,
I'm gonna say I'm going 95.
That's exactly what I was going to go with. 95.
95.
Oh, okay, fellas.
Brad, if it's 95, this is the last episode of the show ever.
It's 92.
What the fuck?
Now it's 92 because
what could be? Did you need them to get under a podium with each other?
So if all time best is them doing joke swap, that involves,
which is 100.
Which is 100.
That involves a lot of interaction, a lot of jesting, laughing, good bits, that kind of stuff.
You didn't see any of that.
And
we
get everything.
You saw none of that this time?
No. There's definitely some good interaction between them, but it's not directly between them, and it's not like that level of interaction. So it's still very good. However, this higher score is mostly reliant on how good Weekend Update is. It's a higher score.
I think
92.
What was last week? Like an 85 or an 86 or whatever.
It was higher than it should have been.
And this is what? This is only a few points higher than that. Get out of here.
Here's the thing. This is a Bradometer. It's not a Ben Fuckometer, and it's not a Nate Dickometer. So don't worry about it.
It's just
it's challenging to put up with,
and it's just symptomatic of where our country is right now.
Yeah, you speak for the people, but you don't speak for all people.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
It's just a really sad state of affairs when something so honestly so easy to do well is done so poorly.
So then, Ben, you and I actually liked Weekend Update this
Loved
week.
it.
Brad did not, but
let's start then with Brad. Why did you hate Weekend Update?
What about Weekend Update did you
went
really
off the rail?
despise
Did you not like the audience saying shit?
It's a 92.
Yeah, which is a bad score for what this is. It's a 95. You know it is.
Here's the thing.
Redo your score.
Redo it right now.
If you want to talk about things that people are doing poorly, Ben, those shorts are terrible.
Ashley's mom got me these shorts.
Where? At a Gigolo Club?
At the Jinko store. At Walmart.
All right, so let's talk a little bit then about, because this is going to play into this. Let's talk a little bit about the Weekend Update bits, okay? So we have Marcelo Hernandez and Jay Wickline coming back to do Grace and Alyssa, the couple you can't believe are together.
Grace and Alyssa?
Isn't it Grace and Alyssa? No, what are they?
Wait, was his name Grace?
Or Grant.
There we go.
Sorry, Grant and Alyssa. My bad. Sharing relationship tips, right?
So good. It's very good.
I thought this was very, very funny. And
so, Brad, why didn't you like it?
Why did you hate
I did
this
love
one?
this.
But you only gave it a 92.
No, I did. It's factors into how good Weekend Update is, but it's not as big of a part as the camaraderie between Jost and Shay, which is a big part of the
So what did you like about this
phenomenon. I mean, first of all, Jane Wickline is hilarious in this.
Yep.
Her low-key responses to Marcelo's energy is perfect.
But also her "I'll gut a man" kind of thing.
Exactly. Like the quiet, the quiet way she says things that
I'll break it off like a Kit Kat.
Exactly. Yeah. This is. I just love this. I hope they keep doing it forever.
Do you guys know any couples like this where you sometimes go, what do they have to talk about?
I used to know one.
Go on.
No, I think that people probably talked about my ex-girlfriend and I like that. I was like, really? Are they together? Like, that person's extremely introverted and very shy and doesn't really want to be around people.
Married to a very introverted person.
I think you and I both know a couple of those, but now.
But I don't think anybody. I
don't have that problem anymore.
This is clearly a very, very very widely different. One reads, the other doesn't. And I have met a couple people where it's like. Then you find out, they got together in high school, right? And maybe the commonality was they shared classes together, but they've really, but I just love the way they do it. Marcelo Hernandez is so funny in this. Like you said, Jane Wickline doesn't have a ton to do, but what she does is perfect and spot on.
It's like it's the lack of like what she has to do, which actually makes her character funnier too.
Yep. And so I will give her a lot of props here because we all know, like anybody who is a performer at all and has ever performed anything, it feels very good to be the center of attention. And she's not the center of attention in this bit. Yeah. She's not. But what she does so fucking well, and you believe it, and it's real, and it's hilarious that, it must have been hard to be around Chris Farley as David Spade, even though he's very funny. He wasn't going to be the focus.
He was the second guy always.
Exactly. And so, Abbott and Costello, everybody laughed at the fat guy. Laurel and Hardy, everybody laughed at the fat guy. Like, it's really hard to be that second banana, the loud person, and then the other one. Man, dialed in and wonderful. Like, I really enjoyed this. I like you said, I hope they bring this back quickly. Like, I like this dynamic a lot.
But what I liked about this was they didn't just bring it back. They actually had a premise to this.
Yeah, a good reason.
And so, which I really liked. Like, here's our relationship tips. Let's go to the next one.
Before we get that and get in,
let's start Word Wednesdays.
What?
Can we start Word Wednesdays like they had?
So they didn't. We didn't talk about like the specific jokes in Weekend Update.
Okay, you want to get to a couple of those?
I just wanted to.
I didn't figure you liked any of them.
I just wanted to mention
he wanted to gloss over them.
This was the second time they made a joke about Morgan Wallen.
Yes,
which was hilarious. So I'm glad, and I love that SNL is the kind of show that can quickly react to stuff like that.
And and by the way, to your credit, Brad, thanks for pointing that out. SNL isn't just the show that can do that. The writers are chomping at the bit. Like I got 20. Which one do you want?
Yep. Yep. And they will also be self-deprecating too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
well, and like they
making fun of themselves.
Didn't they do that in this episode with the Chris Brown thing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to talk about. Is calling out how weird it is that they had an episode hosted by Russell Brand where he introduces Chris Brown. Hilarious.
Yeah, we sure can pick them.
Yeah.
Or we can pair them well together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the next bit.
But still, just 92, Nate.
I know it was so good.
Disheartening.
Discuss the White House Correspondents Association canceling their comedian, which is absolutely true. It's so dumb that they're doing this.
Do we expect anything less
from the reporters? Yeah, I would hope that the Correspondents Association, which is not the government, it's just reporters. That they would actually, but they're all afraid.
Was it the reporters that made the decision?
I think can't Trump say,
no,
I won't come if you do a comedian?
Well, Trump doesn't go anyway.
But he
hasn't gone anyway.
I could have sworn that it was the administration that chose not to have a comedian.
Well, no, because if Trump doesn't go anyway.
This is the White House Correspondents'
I didn't know that. That's insane. If Trump's not going to boycott anyway, fuck him. Get Bill Burr then. Get somebody aggressive that'll make fun of him.
I was listening to Pivot, which is hosted by Kara Swisher, who's a tech reporter and everything. And she was saying that essentially the media right now is owned by people, right? You've got Jeff Bezos, they've got and so this is
that's really upsetting.
This is not coming from the reporters. This is coming from the White House Correspondents Association is essentially a board made up of the conglomerates of media reporters, and they're like, nope, let's not do this.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That's
what I'm saying. I'm disappointed in that because again, they don't want to be combative and partisan.
We talk about this all the time, like not on this podcast, but like when people go on Facebook and they have a comment deleted, they're like, well, "What about my free speech?" And you're like, "Well, that's not free speech."
I mean, they had Amber Ruffin scheduled to do it.
This feels more like an attack on free speech though, because it is because of these oligarchs that own the papers that are not allowing it.
And that was Kara Swisher's point in the Pivot podcast was this is the point of it. We are purveyors of free speech. We are the reporters of news, right? We should not be afraid. We should speak boldly, these kind of things. All right, so Ego Woden comes, and it's been a while since Ego Woden has done. I honestly, I don't even know if she's done herself before. I have not loved all of Ego's latest Weekend Update bits. They've only been okay.
Like the looking for stuff through the purse and being overwhelmed and whatever. Like, I don't know. It wasn't. It didn't hit for me.
Back.
But my God, this was amazing.
Welcome back. She was brilliant. I loved every minute of this. I love her, saying, okay, I'm going to be the comedian on this. She does, kind of.
It's so great because they literally, who is this version of you?
You see
they're talking
Che
to her
and Jost
directly.
in the back. The camera pulls back, and they're having a fun. That's what I'm saying. This was so much fun. And you
then
see them just, shaking their heads.
They're loving it, and they're interacting with her as she's this character. Like, Ego, you're not 50. Like,
yeah, what are you talking about?
Who the hell is Eggy?
Yeah, I loved how it evolved from her actually doing bits about making fun of the food, and then it turned into just a general 1980s Def Jam comedy bit. And because the persona she put on, the joke she was doing,
the walk,
the way Jost and Che reacted to it,
she's sticking her butt out and doing that.
Yep.
I mean, everything about this was pitch perfect.
Yeah.
And then explain what happened.
So what's interesting is I'm very curious. I'm hoping someone gets like the scoop on like what happened and how this came about, because the way she reacted to the first audience participation bit was like she was surprised that they knew what to say. Like it wasn't supposed to be something that they did know. So then the second time it happens, and like they were infinitely surprised, I think, because they weren't anticipating participation again, because she says, because men ain't, and the whole audience goes, shit! And the reaction from Jost and Che and Ego, especially Colin.
Whoa!
Don't! What are you doing?
Don't do that, please. Please.
There's a screen cap on the SNL subreddit of Michael Che just like
sitting up in
like
his chair,
like eyes wide open.
Some dude put
that was not planned. That was
some
not
dude
planned.
Had that screenshot and said, "I've never seen Che's posture better," because he was dead straight up, and Jost was literally like the kindergartner is walking to the toilet with the hamster gonna flush it. Like, oh no!
And Ego handled it so
she
well.
Was perfect.
They're gonna fine us on this.
Lauren's mad at you.
She said they're finna fire us for that.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was
y'all gonna pay for that, and then Lauren's gonna be mad at y'all.
Yeah.
So
and all that's obviously improv, and right off that, but then right back into the character.
Yeah.
Like she's a fucking pro.
The SNL subreddit said she didn't say fire. She said fine.
Fine us for that.
Because it got through, because they said the shit word.
Oh, I thought
they're gonna
fine us for that. Yeah. That's
and Lauren's gonna be
said.
pissed about it.
Gotcha.
Like,
Oh man, that was so good.
I heard fire for the first. I heard fire as well, but it does make sense that they're gonna fine us.
But yeah, because that will cost them money, I'm sure, because you can't say shit on network television. But it was just
the comments. Sorry,
the bit by itself was already funny.
Yeah.
That just took it to another level.
Stratosphere, and good for that happen, because then it's gonna put people. It's gonna put the people that wouldn't normally watch that onto it.
Yeah.
And then they get to see how good Ego is in this and how good SNL can be.
And I also just love that it's something that the cast members weren't in control of it.
No.
It's the audience.
It had nothing to do with anybody in the show, and the reaction to the thing that was unexpected was handled pitch fucking perfectly.
From what I understand,
he could have scripted that better for her.
I wish there was they had a camera on Lorne Michaels to capture how he reacts to things like that.
I mean, I'm sure at this point he loves it. He's got to love it, especially right after, if it happened right away and then it cuts and he doesn't see what happens, he's nervous. But when he sees what Ego does with it and how they move on, he's like, oh, well, this is just ratings.
Yeah.
This is going to be fantastic.
So from what I understand, what Ego was trying to go for is nothing, right? So she's like, doing kind of like you said,
Right.
a Def Jam and the audience doesn't respond. And she's like, that's right, because she's fighting through the thing, right? And so when they do respond,
gosh,
it's just
so it makes me also think that
it's so good.
Did they not respond at dress?
Right.
Because they must not have.
No, they probably didn't, because you're not supposed to, right?
Right. Then they didn't have to say on the live show, hey, by the way, audience, there's going to be a bit, and we need you not to say anything. Do they do that? Do you think they preamble and say
I can't imagine that there's any instance other than this where they've had to worry about that.
Because there was more than one person that said shit.
Oh, yeah, it was collective.
Yeah.
And then the first time, so what was the line that she said the first time? where she was not was it funny or like what was the line? What was the word? That
I think it was play or something.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
You know, I don't
Yeah.
play, and a lot of people said play, which only just took her aback because she's like, "How the hell
How'd you know that?
How'd
Yeah.
you know that? Like, because that, and that's also, by the way, that's a weird thing to everybody collectively think,
Right.
So I just this is like a perfect moment in time for comedy. The idea that like you have that bit and you do that and they say play, and so it's not crass, they're not in trouble yet. It's almost like the audience knew what was going on and was going to escalate to the next thing. Like, that's crazy how that worked out.
Here's the thing, though, is I'm going to trace this back to Jack Black because I believe he brought an energy to this show and the audience was having fun.
You know what?
And so they were having so much fun.
I don't know that I'd give a white guy credit for black comedy, but hey, that's not who I am. Though.
No, setting the tone of the episode.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
And so
the high energy
tone of the episode, the opening number or the monologue, and the all of these things. It was high energy all the way through.
You know,
and so the audience, I think, was just having a blast.
The only 3 guys that didn't respond to Ego. Those 3 college douchebags.
Grump Frump teens.
Grump Frump. I couldn't remember. I was trying to remember it so hard. The Grump Frump teens.
All right, moving on. Making Love, a musical sketch. Another musical sketch featuring Jack Black and Sarah Sherman as a couple performing a song about making love for the first time. Bowen Yang also featured, and musical guest Brandi Carlile made a cameo appearance. This is certainly an awkward song format. You don't see a lot of wires on SNL. What did you think of this one? Let's go with you, Ben. What did you think?
So this one, I'm probably going to get a lot of shit for this. I didn't love this one as much as the other stuff I watched overnight.
I agree.
All night. I thought it was fine. I also thought that it's very hard to pull off. And so I give them kudos for trying it because it's literally a high wire act.
I feel like
That's
they were trying
crazy.
to capture some magic with the physical bits of
Exactly.
this. That even just like getting Sarah Sherman, it just didn't get there.
So I'll give, again, credit to Jack Black. If you notice, he's physically grabbing the wires, moving people, putting them back in camera front. Yeah. I mean, that is, if that's not a professional comedian, I don't know what the fuck is. You have somebody that's hosting the show. Could you imagine any other host, really, other than people that have really done it before? He hasn't done it in 20 years, and he's still like, nah, I got you on the wire.
Yep.
Like, he really saved it because it could have been, if they twist it around, maybe then it goes bad and then maybe it's even funnier.
That's the thing, is this sketch is one thing away from being really funny, but it's not because of the sketch as written. It's because of what could have went wrong or right and with the physical bits.
Talked about how big Jack's belly is, and did they purposely use something that I thought that the bit was going to be he busts out of it because the buttons were literally stretching, and I go, oh, this is going to be one where he shows his belly, and they never did. And I go, oh, he just wore a small shirt.
I think some of that is just the harness too.
Yeah, sure.
But no,
what did you think, Brad?
I thought this was funny. I didn't think it was laugh out loud funny. I liked the premise. To me, actually, the thing that I kept coming back to is this felt kind of like a Tenacious D song, and I almost wondered if it was something that, like, I don't know, I don't know who it was written by. Do we have any of that information?
I don't yet. No.
But part of me wonders if it was something that, like, maybe like Jack Black was sitting on or something like that, because like I could have imagined Kyle Gass being the Bowen Yang role and coming in as the third, you know. But either way, I think what I liked about it is the interaction between Jack Black and Sarah Sherman, because she was clearly having the time of her life doing that.
Yep.
So yeah, I thought it was pretty funny, but like I think it could have been better.
I feel like Sarah Sherman would be someone though that would say, I have to get into a sketch with Jack Black.
Oh yeah.
Like his level of physical comedy is probably something she really admires, right? Like as a physical comedian.
I don't know that we needed Brandi Carlile.
No, that was
as the tack on there.
I think seeing her in that kind of position though
it's
is funny in itself.
Sure.
And then the one thing I did like is at the very end when they pull back and you can see all the people who are there
hoisting everybody,
holding the harness. It was great.
Yeah.
And again, you know, everybody like Jack Black's a big boy, so good for them.
I didn't love the song either, which maybe was part of it. I just didn't think it was a great song.
Yeah, I mean musically it wasn't anything impressive.
So that's what I'm saying.
It was more funny than it was musically impressive.
All right, moving on. Bass Lake, but I like to call it Bass Lake. So Jack Black, Kenan Thompson, and Andrew Smukes played Big Ricky and the Minnows, hosting a potluck jam session where others were invited to join in. Again, another musical sketch. Not shocking having Jack Black on the show. This was a jam session. Again, bassists coming up. I was reading the comments on YouTube. A lot of bassists loved this sketch. I thought I was just fine.
I mean, bassists are going to be the most self-deprecating because if you play bass in a band, you got to be in on the joke that like it's the role that like you're not the lead guitarist, you're not the cool drummer, you're just the bassist.
It was pretty funny that everyone that came up to jam was a bass player, and they're the ones who really want to show their stuff. I did like how complex it got by having pretty much everyone come out and playing a different kind of bass.
So
the sheer number of basses involved.
There's a lot of basses.
Ever since the behind the scenes, it makes me think. Right. I'm like, so you had to source 12 basses, and did they just fucking have them? You know, part of me thinks they just have a storage closet full of
the musicians.
And they also made an awesome keyboard carrying case for that one.
Oh my god,
that was probably the funniest thing for me.
And again, that's props all day long. Like for a freaking 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. To be able to, come on, that's just not fair.
So the sketch itself, I didn't think it was that great. Actually, my fiance Brittany actually said that she thought it was like more cowbell but worse.
That's right. It's there's a lot of like, if you're gonna do the same joke over and over again, there has to be some sort of escalation.
There was not
really the escalation.
The escalation was the absurdity of the characters.
But still,
but it didn't hit enough though, right? So,
Ben, did you have to hide your groin when Heidi Gardner came out?
So here's the thing. I watched it with my girlfriend Ashley, and we're sitting there, and Heidi comes out, and she just looks at me, and she goes, "That's not." Because
and Ben grabs his crotch and says, "Don't look at me."
You shut your mouth. You shut your mouth. So I muted it.
And paused it. It said, "I'm going to need some time alone."
If you take the sexual nature of it away, the costuming is it looks real. I mean, good God.
So here's what
it's so weird.
Here's what I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell if they gave her just an impressive push-up bra or if it was a prosthetic.
No, that's a prosthetic.
But
those things are enormous.
So hold on.
I'm sure we're going to see.
I don't want to get into the weeds with women's bodies here at all.
But hold on. Let me explain why though.
Because Chloe Fineman.
No, because I thought it was a but here's the thing. Heidi Gardner does have like Chloe Fineman doesn't have like a big chest.
Sure.
Heidi Gardner has a normal size chest.
I haven't noticed. I don't look.
And
I don't look either. So this weird thing.
So it can be pushed up like that. The reason I asked is because I initially thought it was a prosthetic. So I was like, there's no way. But if you watch later when she's dancing, the bounce that is coming with them looks very natural.
This is why I don't want to talk about this. I'm so uncomfortable right now. I don't. The fact that you said if you look at it, the bounce is pretty natural for what real tits look like. I don't even want to have
serious,
this. I know you are, and that's the problem.
I want to talk about it because
scientific Brad.
I want to talk about it because
studied this in detail.
No, because my boneometer says it's at 110.
It's because
it needs a recalibrate.
It's because it's an impressive prosthetic.
It's an impressive prosthetic already.
If they were able to do that, when she was dancing, there was a natural bounce, and it wasn't moving.
Okay.
Stop! No, I'm being serious.
I am too. It's fine.
Know.
We get their point.
It didn't look like a prosthetic.
Get the point, Brad. You've said it 9 times now, but it didn't look fake. It looked real. No, but realistically, with Chloe Fineman's thing, because she says in the behind the scenes, like, and obviously I don't have a large chest, so this prosthetic is what we used.
Right.
I'm pretty sure they did the same thing, but you mimic the natural shape and curvature, whatever. And so when action does happen, it's just going to mimic what was there anyway, but just it's more pronounced because it's just larger.
I'd just be curious to know how they were able to do it to make it loose enough and not look super fake.
I mean, again, like if we're taking everything and putting it to the side. Props to props, because that's a crazy well done thing. It made Ashley and I stop and be like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And
what do you think the nipples look like?
By the way, from r/.
Do you think it had like salami areolas?
Oh, stop!
Or like the little Nate, baby toes?
Are we cutting all this? Are we just canceled?
All right. So I do want to say.
You love big areolas.
The views expressed by Bradford Oman do not reflect the personalities and or opinions of Nate Loucks, Ben Konowitz, or the 10to1pod.com.
First of all, for Nate, that's true. For you, that's a straight lie.
On r/New York, live from New York. On r/live from New York,
which is the subreddit.
That's the biggest SNL subreddit.
Go on.
It says, were those Heidi's real boobs? That is one of the
Thank you.
And it says
props to props.
This is their photos.
I can't believe that we're talking about this.
In the too much bass sketch, if those were real, why ain't I never noticed them before? Sweet Jeebus.
Wait. Why ain't I never noticed them before?
Yep. And then the top comment says, no. The next comment says, prosthetics, my guy. The third comment says,
where do I get them?
No, the third comment says, heavy naturals, 100%.
Oh my God.
See?
It's so terrible. It's so atrocious.
So we're not the only ones talking about it.
No, I mean, it's going to make the headlines. I get it. Or, oh my gosh. But realistically, of course, my very first reaction was after whatever the next commercial break. I just
after his first reaction after boing.
I turned to Ashley and was like, well, they're either Nate or Brad or both of them are just going to look at me and be like, well, what'd you think? Like, that's exactly what's going to happen. I knew it was going to happen.
All right, moving on. Times Square.
And by the way, yes, I was happy. Okay, if that's what you want to hear me say, Brad, I liked it. It was fun. I enjoyed it. Let me have something.
So they did look real.
Yeah, you know what they did. Okay, and I was happy for once in my life. Let me have something.
All right, moving on. Times Square kiss. Set during the VJ Day celebration in Times Square, Heidi Gardner played the iconic nurse being kissed by a sailor, while her actual boyfriend reacts poorly. Right beside her, played by Jack Black. Also featured Andrew Smukes, Kenan Thompson, Sarah Sherman, Mikey Day, and James Austin Johnson. This is a period piece humor where they do sometimes.
That was just, I got to go back. That's the most uncomfortable I've ever been on this podcast. I'm flushed. My face is red. I don't feel good. Like I feel like we always talk about, and it's a little inside baseball here, because we're just three like schlubby white dudes. We do actively try to very much not comment on women's bodies, not be weird about that kind of stuff.
And this wasn't about.
No, I know.
Yeah.
And I literally kind of want to put a disclaimer out there, like, I hope nobody takes offense to that, because seriously, it's a fun thing to talk about on the show, but realistically,
I was legit impressed by the prosthetic.
Okay, calm down. Again, I'll just keep talking.
You know what, Brett? Actually, I think you should probably stop talking.
Yeah, you're done. Okay, cut his mic. Because in all honesty, the last thing I want is for anybody to think for us that like we are thinking that Heidi Gardner is anything more than an incredibly hilarious comedian, because I respect the fuck out of her.
Of course.
That's all. So I just want to put that out there that I'm very uncomfortable right now.
But that's why
is my face fucking red? It feels red.
But the reason I will say, because I did want to address it, is because the prosthetic is made to be a prominent punchline and
of
a
course.
fun part of the bit.
And so she's approving that, and she's all in. She's not, they're not, SNL in 2025 is not making anybody do anything they don't want to do. It might have been her fucking idea, and so lean into it. It's fine. But I want to be very clear that I'm very uncomfortable.
And actually, I'm glad that you brought up the Chloe Fineman thing where she posted on the thing, because that is what made me think.
Exactly.
I wonder if they just did get a good push-up bra for her, because it looked more real than that way.
Again, you got to stop talking.
You're not helping.
Yeah,
you're just not helping.
That's now the 17th time you've said that exact same.
I want to
thing.
make sure it's a genuine thing.
18.
I'm not talking about
18.
it because I'm like, oh, boobs, I need them.
And every time Ben feels like I've got to comment again just to let people know.
I'm fanning myself. My fucking hand here. Like, okay, moving on. Sorry, but
that's how he was when he first saw the sketch. Too, fanning himself with his hand.
Apologies, Heidi, and anybody else. I'm
trying to get us out of this.
Yeah,
everyone. I'm trying to get us out of this.
I keep bringing it back in.
All right, Times Square kiss. Set during the VJ celebration in Times Square, Heidi Gardner played the iconic nurse being kissed by a sailor, while her actual boyfriend, played by Jack Black, reacts poorly. Right beside her, also featured Andrew Smukes, Kenan Thompson, Sarah Sherman, Mikey Day, and James Austin Johnson. This was a period piece humor. You've probably seen this picture before. Kind of fun to think, what was the setting, going on at this point? To add a little absurdity to the contextualization of the photo. Brad, what did you think of this sketch?
Good premise. Some funny moments for Jack Black. Mm-hmm. Feel like it maybe went on a little too long.
Agreed.
But I love the fact that he comes back and he has 4 hot dogs.
Oh my god!
And none of them are for Heidi.
Yeah. What? You didn't tell me you wanted one. And he's so sincere about that.
Yeah, I think it's the voice that he put on that really helped sell it.
He does really well in this sketch. Like you said, it could have gone about half as long though.
Yeah,
but also, if we're gonna say anything about it going too long, it's the extended lips touching. It's not a kiss.
But that was really funny though. You could see Heidi and Mikey almost breaking.
What I'm saying is, if we're gonna say something good about how long it went, is you get the opportunity to see real long awkward kisses between best friends basically that are not like that, like brother and sister kissing, and they're just holding it. And Heidi's dying.
Yeah.
She's really trying to keep it together. I really like that. It was so funny to me.
Yeah, there was definitely some funny stuff here.
There were some high points in this.
Yeah.
I felt like though there were some low parts or not low points, just low
It's
points.
just there's enough to like this, but again, there's so much different things that could have happened that would have made it better and or shorter, whatever. Got to the point a little faster, whatever. Jack Black did a great job here, though. The 4 hot dogs thing was awesome. The 5th one, like oh gosh, it's just funny.
All right, we have one Cut for Time sketch to get to. If you are new to SNL, SNL actually creates quite a few different sketches that never get to the actual show. So they pare them down from writing to all the way to the live show. And so some of the sketches that they record
during dress rehearsal, they occasionally put them on their YouTube channel for us to enjoy. Now, typically that will be if they can't recycle them. And so this one they chose to. They could have recycled this because they could have redid the voice on this, but they didn't. This is an SNL animated short called The Great Battle. And this featured the voices of Jack Black and Kenan Thompson as two men trying to fight during a battle. This was pretty short. Was it about 2.5 minutes, maybe? Yeah.
Yeah.
It follows the suit of the previous animated shorts we've gotten recently, the one about God and the one about the creation of New York.
Yeah, and we talked about this before. We really love that they're bringing an animated element to this.
And this one, again, like it feels like another Adult Swim kind of thing. And part of me thinks like all of these almost could form some kind of like animated history of the world kind of show on Adult Swim. Like it really has that kind of vibe to the point where it doesn't really feel like SNL, like we've never really gotten animated shorts in this style or had repeated shorts like that. The closest that would come, but it's a completely different kind of framework, is TV Funhouse.
Right.
But that was a very distinct animation style and a certain kind of comedy. And this does have its own distinct animation style. But like so far, I guess if you were to like figure out, what the framework is, it's like it's all stuff based somewhere, in history. So part of me wonders if this is something that comes from like maybe
one writer.
Well, not
who's like, I am just addicted to explaining shit from back in the day,
and maybe like someone who maybe wanted to do like an animated series, but like it didn't.
I'm here for it. I love it anytime SNL reinvents themselves when they do the any sort of cartoon pre-tape. Again, you go all the way back. Not that it was animated, but from the Muppets Beyond on the show to there's a lot of. Well, I know we're a sketch comedy show, but what else?
Yeah.
And they're always fostering new environments for people to have fun. The digital shorts, and now you've got Dan Bulla, and now there's just so much going on, and we're all here for it.
Yeah, I know.
Especially when it's funny.
I love
and
to see them do
this
new
was
stuff.
hilarious.
Good stuff.
Yeah. You mentioned something, Brad, that I think is really interesting because you said this doesn't feel a little bit like SNL, which kudos to them then, because again, reinventing what they're doing, especially for a new generation, is really important.
Anytime you can say it doesn't feel like SNL, but it's hilarious, means it belongs on SNL.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I enjoy this. If you have not watched it, go to and subscribe to the Saturday Night Live YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see it there, and any of the sketches that you maybe didn't see or you want to go back and rewatch as well, because there's a couple of them that
what you won't
worthwhile.
see, and in case you were confused by this, I should have mentioned this when we talked about it, but if you watch the show on YouTube or you watch it through clips on social media, you will not hear the audience saying shit in the crowd. They completely muted it. So if you want to see that, you have to like go to Reddit, find a pirated clip of the actual live show where you can actually
Which is
hear
really
it.
interesting, because I don't think you have to on YouTube. Like they don't have the same
No,
censors.
you don't have to, but I imagine they probably just didn't want the inconsistency.
Yeah, that's fair. Overall, what a welcomed episode, like a lovely episode. I was so happy with this,
and high energy from beginning to end.
Yeah.
They
weren't all bangers, but it was a really good episode.
But it felt nostalgic to me. It felt very just like having, like you said, it just felt like having a host that was excited to be there, that was an entertainer and performer, and the cast seemed, and maybe the cast feeds off the energy of somebody like Jack Black.
Oh, I'm sure.
And everyone's on
How
it.
can you not?
Right?
I swear to God, if you're in the room with that man, you just probably feel better about yourself.
And it becomes a lot more fun to perform.
Of
probably,
course,
right?
yeah. Everybody's on their game and they want to be there. if I'm Brad picking again, I think it really did peak with Weekend Update. I think the sketches that came after were like, these are fine, but not real amazing stuff.
Yeah, because that's Making Love, Base Lake or Bass Lake, Times Square Kiss. Those are the three that came after.
And so that Times
Square Kiss is probably my favorite of those.
This episode's very front loaded with the comedy as far as I'm concerned, but not bad sketches, but just the ones that were fine really did come after Weekend Update. And I remember thinking that watching it live, going, "Oh man, I wish they would have ended with like a really good one." But the cut for time is incredible, and my MVP.
Yeah, let's go to
probably yours is
MVP.
Jack Black. I mean, to me.
Oh no, actually, I can give it to Ego.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Only because I expect Jack Black to be good. Like, it's not as if he went above and beyond. Like, he's every bit as good to me as he always is. You know, I think that he elevates the show because of his energy, but I also expected that from him. You know, I love Jack Black and I think he's great, and he is great in this episode. But for me, I'm that bit from Ego, her recovery from the audience thing. Like, for me, that was like the clincher for her being the MVP.
For my money though, it's because the monologue starts off super high energy. He hasn't done it in 20 years. There's got to be rust there. There's got to be something. Fixing the wires in the high wire sketch, just like the host. You're expecting a good performance, but going above and beyond like that kind of shit and really controlling. And then he didn't even even when he flubbed up and didn't know what camera to look at, he still pulled it off, and it made it even funnier. All the things that you want a host to be good at, he was not good at. He was great at. It really did elevate the show.
So. Because I have not decided yet.
That's why you're wrong, Brad.
I want you to at least build a little more for the Ego case, because other than the Weekend Update bit, was there anything there that you think she stood out in?
No, not like in a big way, but that moment was like the moment of this episode, and I think that what especially made it work even more so is it was Ego being herself, doing a bit, at the Weekend Update, not necessarily playing. She was playing a character, but it was a character of herself. You know what I mean? And I think just the way she dealt with that like big gaffe, which is like, what do you do in that scenario?
Listen, I will give it all day long that one thing was incredible, but it didn't overshadow the entirety of what I thought was Jack Black's.
And that's just the difference between like how we think the host earned the MVP. And I think that if Jack Black was like a mystery performer and we didn't know he had comedic chops or that he didn't have this energy.
See, I don't think that's fair though, because we've had plenty of people that you were looking forward to and you expect something else and they shit the bed.
Sure.
So that's why I don't think it's fair to be like, I know he's supposed to be perfect and excellent and I'm expecting that.
No, but he's hosted SNL before and he was great.
20 years ago.
I know, but like you don't lose that though.
Yeah, I think you both make interesting cases. I'm going to side with Ben in that.
Lindsay Lohan. You don't lose it?
So
she hasn't hosted SNL since she was great, so we don't know.
What?
All right.
She hosted pretty recently, and it was not great.
Did she?
Yeah, when she was after all the scandals and after everything, she hosted.
When?
In like 2020, 2021, whatever it was. She was not great.
Post-COVID, she.
I don't remember this.
She's hosted within the last 10 years.
That's different than post-COVID.
But
whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Look it up. Look at the last time that Lindsay Lohan hosted. She was an adult, and
if it was during her rough period, I don't think that's necessarily fair.
Why?
The last time she hosted was 2012. It was 13 years ago.
No, but she was terrible. And so you said you don't lose it, you lose it.
That was during her rough time, though. And
she lost it.
How many times did she host before that, Nate?
3. She's had 4 times hosting.
So her 4th time was her worst time.
But Jack Black never had like a career like valley where he went down like that.
I don't understand why we're on this Lindsay Lohan.
Because Brad said once you have it, you don't lose it. And I would point to the Lindsay Lohan episode. Yes, you do. She was terrible.
That's not the same thing because Jack Black has never lost the spotlight or like the power of who he is as a celebrity.
Lindsay Lohan had a breakdown.
All you were saying was that you don't
breakdown.
lose the ability to host Saturday Night Live at a great level once you've already done it at a great level. And I'm saying yes, you do.
Wait, was Lindsay Lohan great?
The Hermione thing, and when she was younger,
yeah, but I'm not sure
that episode was awesome. She was great.
That was 8 years before 2012, and she had a career falling out by that point.
Yeah,
that's a completely different circumstance.
Then having 20 years,
he didn't fall out of the limelight or have a career downfall.
All right,
I'm just saying, you're wrong.
All right, moving on.
Look, the prosthetic looked good.
You son of a bitch.
I'm gonna go with Jack Black only because I think
because you're too weak to stand up to Ben.
No. I think there were sketches because also if Ego had another sketch that I think she did really, really well in, I'd probably give you because she had the best single performance in this.
Yeah,
best single.
Let's give another award to a white guy.
But Jack Black elevated multiple sketches.
Yes.
and the sketch was funny.
The first play.
And the sketch was great, literally because of his performance.
And he saved the ones that were mediocre from being actually bad.
Yep. And so I think that's it.
I think they did.
All right, what was the top sketch of the night for you guys?
I think for me,
mine was First Play.
I think it's going to be First Play, yeah.
Ooh. Guys, I hate to disappoint.
If you say Base Lake, I'm going to kick you in the nuts.
No, it's not Base Lake. Get out of here. I have to say, I think the game show sketch, because I haven't thought about, again, I go back to what I said about it when I was talking about it. I haven't wanted a sketch to continue as much. Like, I thought there was so much more there to delve into. I'm hoping they bring it back because of that. I think that it was just such a fun thing, and I just didn't want it to end. So yeah, game show.
All right, that is the episode. Now we want to hear from you. What do you think? Who was your MVP of the night? Do you think Ego or Jack Black or somebody else? I actually think Andrew Dismukes had a very good night.
He did
as well. So I think you can make an argument for him. And so I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think? Also, what was the sketch of the night? Did you guys watch the Cover Time sketch? What did you think of that one? Let us know in the comments and comment a little bit just to kind of give us your thoughts of this episode. Now, we are in a line of 2 out of the 3 new episodes. Mm-hmm. So we have one more. Next week, who is the host?
John Hamm is coming back.
John Hamm's
another exciting host, another host who's beloved by the cast that he's worked with.
Hasn't hosted since 2013?
It's been a long time.
It's been a long time.
Since we rocked and rolled.
It's been a long time.
So I feel like I haven't seen, really the tour schedule, and I don't really know what he's up to, but if Michael Bublé is around, I would just love to see another pairing of Hamm and Bubbly.
It's been 15 years.
There you
go. October 30th, 2010.
2010.
All right. So yeah, Hamm and Lizzo is the musical guest. Apparently, she's ready to come back from that little bit of controversy.
Little controversy.
Do you think she'll be in a sketch? Because Lizzo has hosted before. Do you think she'll be in a sketch?
It's certainly possible, but I feel like she might keep the focus on her music.
I say no because she's recovering from kind of repairing her career's image.
Yeah,
and she probably doesn't want to be controversial, so she might just stick to the music.
All right. Well, that is our episode. Again, thank you so much for listening. Whether you're listening to us on YouTube or Apple Podcasts, we'd love, again, to rate us, review us, like us if you're on, subscribe. Just help us out a little bit. Share this if you know of anybody else that loves Saturday Night Live and being a part of this conversation. It's a joy to make these, and we appreciate you listening. Brad, where can people find you online?
Oh, I'm on the social medias like the Blue Skies and the Twitter. Ethan Anderton is my pseudonym on /film. Sometimes I'm writing about SNL. Sometimes I'm writing about other stuff on there related to movies and TV. And
sometimes he's doing freeze frames on certain sketches just to see if the prosthetics were real.
Yeah, sometimes the prosthetics look good, and you really gotta see. You don't have to do a freeze frame to see that there was
25 mentions.
And Brad is also at /film.com. You can find your writings on there, right?
That's what I said.
He did say it. Yeah, Nate doesn't pay attention at the end of the show.
He was looking at an image of the prosthetic.
Exactly. I'm looking at his computer right now, and that's an enlarged version.
And Ben and I have not discovered the internet.
We don't know what that is.
So, again, like us, review us. Be back here next week in the same spot, and we'll talk a little bit about John's Ham.
We're going to
Hamm's Ham.
Ham it up.
So, thanks so much for listening. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. Bye-bye.